Hello and welcome to Clarkenomics. In this video, we're going to go over 2 out of the 6 things that shift a demand curve. So this is part 1. In a previous video, we talked about what a demand shift looks like. And the important thing we said is that increase right, decrease left, ERDL is going to help you remember what a demand shift looks like. So keep that in mind as we go through some of these shifters, and that way you won't get anything mixed up. Try not to say up or down, say shift left or shift right or increases or decreases. So here we go. The first demand shifter is probably the simplest demand shifter. The first demand shifter is taste. Now, when we say taste, we're not specifically talking about food, although I do have a slice of pizza pictured on the slide here, but we're just talking about preferences. What do people like? What do people not like? So that's probably the most intuitive shifter out of all 6 of these. So if people like the product more for some reason, it becomes trendy or popular or whatever, then you're going to see more demand for that product. So in that case, demand is going to shift to the right. So that would be like going from D1, which is the middle demand curve there, to D2, increase right. On the other hand, if people hate the product or just like it less, if it's pepperoni pizza and people stop eating as much meat for some reason, then you'd see less demand, and demand would shift then to the left. So increase right, decrease left. Just practice with a nice easy one here. The key thing is to remember though, when demand is shifting, that means quantity demanded is different, not just at one price, but at all prices. So if you look at the quantity demanded on the red demand curve, D3 for instance, you'll notice that at any given price, the quantity demanded on that red one is lower than on the orange one. And any given quantity demanded on the orange one is lower than the yellow one at that same price. So what we're looking at here is a decrease or an increase in quantity demanded at any given price. All right, let's move on to the next one. The next demand shifter is number of buyers. So with this one, the question is how many buyers are there in a given market? Maybe it's the physical number of people that are living in a certain area. Maybe it's the types of people who are living in that area, right? So if you have more young people, they're going to demand different things than people who are older. Or maybe it's an area that was pretty rural and now a lot of people are moving there, so there's a bigger literal population. So this one's also pretty straightforward. If there are more buyers in a given market, you're going to see an increase in demand, and that's going to shift demand to the right. So where we live here in Delaware, some areas of Delaware are highly populated in the north. Other areas of Delaware are not so populated. But as we see people migrating, from northern Delaware to middle or southern Delaware, or we see people moving to Delaware from other states like Maryland and Virginia, we're seeing demand for products in these formerly rural areas starting to increase. Of course, that's going to have effects on prices, but that's a topic for another day. And if the opposite is true, if there are fewer buyers for a given product or in a given market, you're going to have less demand, and demand is going to shift to the left. And just like with the taste preferences one, it's not just that quantity demand is changing given one price, it's changing at all prices. Because the key thing to remember for both this shifter, the previous shifter, and all shifters is that we're not changing the price of pizza here, right? The price isn't changing at all. There's some external factor, some shifter like taste preferences or number of buyers that is causing demand to increase or decrease. So on D1, for instance, at a price of $4, the quantity demanded of slices of pizza was 10. At $4 on D2, the quantity demanded is 15. And on D3 at a price of $4, the quantity demanded is 5. So the price is never changing because that would just be a movement along a demand curve. What we have happening here is a shift of the entire thing. So these are the first 2 shifters that can affect demand curves. Thanks for watching.